Hi, Sky. Can you see her back there? Hi, baby. She's lounging. That's her spot right there. So my name is Hannah. I've been growing houseplants for probably the better part of 10 years. In the last 4 years, I started getting into collecting more uncommon or rare plants, and that has kind of just taken over my home. So I thought, what better way to kick off this channel than to do a houseplant tour? So without further ado, let's get into it. So I figured we should start over here in this corner. This is my Billy Tie. I have had this plant since it was the tiniest little baby. I got it probably 3 years ago now. I mean, it was so small, and now it is just absolutely massive. It probably does need to get repotted. Oh, that leaf came in a little damaged because the leaves have definitely gone down in size, but it's still beautiful. It's huge. If it keeps growing, I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I just can't bring myself to part with it because I just love it so much. It's so unusual. The petioles are such a pretty color with the green leaves. Like, I love it. Please excuse my dog barking at me. She wants to go outside. And right next to my Billy is my Albo. I love this plant. I mean, who doesn't love Albos? Everybody that has one in their collection is like obsessed for a good reason. I bought this plant as a one-leaf cutting back in 2020 when the prices were insanely high. Do I regret it? No. But should I have done it? Probably not. So I have it growing in semi-hydro. This is one of the first plants that I have ever grown in a semi-hydroponic setup. It's growing in leca and perlite, and it's actually inside of a net pot. And then this white is actually an old like trash can that I just picked up from like Big Lots or Walmart, but that's holding my reservoir. I have aerial roots that are also growing in water. This is actually like a nutrient solution. Oh God, it is so dirty. It's so embarrassing. And then right here, this is a air bubbler that would be for like a fish tank. And it's actually giving a bunch of circulation in here so that the plant is less likely to develop any type of root rot. It's been in this setup now for probably, I don't know, maybe 2.5 years. I have not done anything with it. I haven't tried to change it or repot it. I basically just keep taking cuttings and starting them over. Eventually, I will probably just chop up the whole plant. But for now, it's happy. I'm happy. I don't really feel like messing with it. Look at that leaf. This is probably one of my all-time favorite philodendrons. This is the philodendron serpens, and she is stunning. She's beautiful. She's very unique. Wow. Look at that petiole. Like, I don't think people realize like how fuzzy these get. It's so unusual. I love her. I know a lot of people feel that these philodendron are finicky. I guess maybe they can be. I don't know. Mine is not really too finicky at all. It doesn't like a lot of light. It's okay over here during this time of year because I don't get a ton of sunlight. These are south-facing windows, but in the summertime, I don't typically leave this plant here because it will get burned leaves, like right here. But other than that, if it's on a pole and you're watering the pole when it dries out and you're not giving it too much light, it really just doesn't really seem to mind that much. Like it does pretty well, and it's stunning. I think everybody should have this in their collection. Moving on to the Philodendron Majestic, and she is just that. She is majestic. I recently just did a chop and extend with this plant, and it already has a new leaf coming in, and it honestly looks like it's going to be huge. I need to water the moss pole, so excuse the fact that it's very dry. Look how big that leaf is. It's huge. I'm very excited for this. This was one of my all-time favorite or top wish list plants for a long time, and when I got it, it was also just the littlest baby. But I got it onto a moss pole and it just exploded. My goal is to grow this plant as large as my Philodendron Splendid, which we will get to closer to the end of this video, and you'll see how big that is. I don't know, maybe my expectations are too high, but also maybe not, because she's kind of getting there already. We'll see. So over here is another one of my albos. This is a top cut from the mother plant we saw earlier. Look how variegated that leaf is. I love the marbling. It's so beautiful. I will probably end up doing the same thing with this plant when it gets big enough. I'll just keep taking top cuttings and selling them or starting them over. I don't know. Probably gonna end up having like a million albos in my collection, but I don't even really mind that, you know, because I love them. They're so beautiful, and every one is just different. The variegation is never the same. Look at that chunky variegation. It's so beautiful. And over here is my Esqueleto, which again, I love this plant. Oh, get on here. It is so beautiful. Like, wow. I cannot wait for it to get huge. If you see a lot of this stuff on my leaves, that's actually diatomaceous earth. I am treating most of my collection for spider mites because isn't everybody always treating for spider mites? They just never seem to go away. But anyway, yeah, look at that. That is so beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Love her. Right next to her, I have my Epipremnum. She is just starting to get these little baby fenestrations. Oh, it's so cute. Again, one plant I have very high expectations for. I have seen people that have absolutely beautiful ones of these, like Momo Sapiens, I think, on Instagram. Hers is stunning, absolutely stunning. But they are definitely plants you have to make space for. I mean, you have to make space for all of them, but when these ones mature, they are on another level. Ugh, one day. Also have this Micans that is just kind of chilling, hanging out in the window over here. I don't do much with it. I don't move it. I water it when I remember. Other than that, it's chilling. It came back from thrips. It had thrips last summer really badly. I ended up basically just taking cuttings and getting rid of like the whole rest of the plant. But you would never know now that she came back from thrips. Very happy. And up here I have my Hoya Pulicalix Splash, I think. How you say that? I don't know. I love this Hoya, but it needs a new home. It doesn't really get a ton of light over here. Well, maybe, but not as much as Hoyas appreciate, you know? I feel like it could handle a lot more, but it does seem pretty happy, so I don't know. I just continue to ignore it until I'm forced to move it, I guess, but she's pretty, isn't she? She looks crazy right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is my other favorite corner. In the back here, I have my giant bird of paradise. Like, this plant is huge. It's almost touching the ceiling. I repotted it recently, and honestly, I don't know what I'm gonna do here in a year or two. I'm probably gonna have to get rid of it, but until then, look at it. It's just magnificent, stunning. And resting right here is one of my Thai constellations. This one has a lot of like sectoral creamy variegation that I love. I actually found this one at Walmart, which I guess they're everywhere now, which shouldn't really be that surprising to me. But I was still kind of shook, and it was $30, which is way cheaper than what I paid for my other one, which I got at like the height of the Thai constellation craze. But I couldn't pass it up, and I love it, and it's doing pretty well. It does have a little bit of browning, but I don't feed my plants silica, which I need to start doing. I think the browning happened mostly because I had it in an area where it wasn't getting enough light. I recently moved it over here, and it's in front of my Barina light, which I think it'll be a lot happier with. So yeah, some prayers, because usually I deal with root rot on these plants like everybody does. And over here I have my Florida Beauty, which I love this plant. When I first got it, I was not in love with it. I don't know why. I didn't really like it that much, and I kind of regretted getting it. But now that it's starting to mature and like fill out on the pole a little bit, I love it. It's beautiful. That variegation is just unmatched. It's stunning. Very, very happy with it, and now I do not regret it at all. Over here I have my Jose Bueno, however you say it, I don't know. It has a new leaf coming in. This was also a top wish philodendron for me for a long time, and I waited and I waited and I waited until I found one that had the variegation that I wanted, and I think I made a good choice. It is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. It is from Paper Crane Nursery on Etsy. She is awesome. Her plants are stunning. I've bought from her a few times. The packaging is always great. Quality is always fantastic. I would definitely recommend it. Oh, the pole is dry. Please excuse that. I will be watering most of these plants after this video, so if you see dry poles, they're not always like that, I swear. Down here I have my Gloriosum. I actually recently repotted this plant. See if it has any roots. Oh, yep. Oh, she is rooting. I repotted her in Molly's mix, so she should be fine. It's never let me down before. I actually have two of these plants. I have this one right here, which I'm growing as a crawler, and then I have one in my cabinet that I'm actually growing as a climber on a pole, which can be done. I will see how successful you can be when I get to my SB Columbia. So I'm very excited for that. I love this plant. When I see people that have like really big mature ones, I'm always jealous because I want one like that in my collection so bad. So hopefully this one gets to be everything that I ever wanted it to be. And down here are my Thai constellations. So these used to be one plant, and I dealt with root rot probably more times than I can even count. It has been a struggle. I got this plant as a little baby from Rare Plant Fairy back in 2021 or whatever the height of the craze was for Thai constellations. I don't even remember anymore. But ended up getting root rot the last time I decided to take a cutting. So this is the bottom cut. It's actually doing pretty well now. It's growing in Molly's mix. So I'll show you the roots. Okay. She looks great. cannot complain too much. Molly's mix is fantastic. But now I just need it to give me a new leaf because it hasn't done anything in probably like 3 months, and that's really giving me anxiety. And over here is the top cutting, and I decided I wanted to grow this one in semi-hydro. So much like my Mama Elbow, it is growing in very similar setup, white pot, net pot, just leca. And similar, I have a bubbler in here that is giving oxygen to the roots. And you can actually see it is definitely rooted and happy. So if they could just give me some new leaves and stop rotting, that would be fantastic. We would be in a really good place. So up here I have my Syndapsis. I really love the foliage on this plant. I think it's very, very pretty, so silvery. This plant actually almost died on me, and I was able to save it. I'm very grateful that I was able to. It seems pretty happy under the grow light. I don't really have much to say about it right now. I wish it was fuller, but maybe eventually in a couple months it will be, I hope. This part of the shelf, I just have a lot of like climbing plants. I have 2 Brazilian, philodendron Brazils down here. I always forget the name of them, I don't know why. They're pretty happy, don't really do much to them. This is a Micans that I actually won in a giveaway, and they were a bunch of like unrooted cuttings. So I was able to get them all rooted. Didn't lose any actually, and now they are just filling out this big pot. So we're moving on to probably one of my favorite areas in my entire collection, my little anthurium corner. Love it over here. But before we get into the anthurium, I do want to focus on my SP Columbia because she is stunning. She's absolutely a beautiful plant. And this is the one that I was talking about, where usually they are grown as crawlers. I am growing mine as a climber. I have had no issues with it. It attached right to the pole. It's really well rooted into the pole at this point. It has a new leaf coming. It actually looks like it's going to be huge. And I'm very excited for that. But yeah, it can be done. And I actually prefer it this way because these get massive and I don't have a lot of space. So if I can get a plant to grow up, that is a win for me. Because when they are crawling, they take up way more space. Oh, she's so beautiful. Okay, and now moving on to the anthurium. We're gonna start off here with my queen anthurium. She's looking a little rough, but I swear she's not miserable. Ever since I got her on a pole, she's actually been pretty happy. I don't know how people get theirs to be absolutely perfect, not crispy. Maybe I'll get there someday, but for now, she is what she is. I still think she's pretty and cute. I have it on a pole, which it is like really happy on the pole. If I can show you. You can see the roots there. This plant loves moss. Moss and water. It actually has a little, let's see if I can get it. Actually has a little reservoir going. The roots are growing into. And I really try not to allow this plant to dry out fully at all, because when you do let it dry out, this is what happens. It starts to get yellowy. She definitely likes her water. Ugh, my dream plant is to have one huge and beautiful. Someday it will happen. Down here I have this little Burl Marks Fantasy, I believe is the name of it. It looks kind of sad right now. Hopefully it won't be so sad once it really gets attached to the pole. It probably needs more light, and it definitely needs water. That pole is crispy. So this is probably one of my favorite Anthurium in my collection. This is my Bessier. I love her so much. I think it was the first Anthurium I ever brought into my collection. This is the latest leaf right here. It did get a little bit damaged, but that was my fault. And it looks like it has a new leaf coming in and more roots. I have this pot extender on here with moss, and then it's growing in a fairly large pot with Molly's Mix. We do have an inflow happening. I haven't done anything with it. I don't always do anything with my inflows. A lot of time they just exist. I have never tried to pollinate my Anthurium. I would love to. Maybe at some point I will, but for now they kind of just are part of the aesthetic. They're beautiful. Right next to that one is my Anthurium Pap. I love this plant, and it's actually interesting because I didn't mean to get this plant in my collection. I bought a plant on Etsy. I don't remember what the shop was now. I meant to buy a Queen Anthurium, which is what I bought, but what they sent me was this. And I did try to fix it. Ended up just keeping the plant, which worked out because she's beautiful. And I love her. And I have a queen now, so it worked out really well. I guess it was meant to be in my collection. Just got these two Anthurium yesterday. Actually, I just traded with somebody that was local to me. I gave her a couple majestic cuttings, and she gave me these in trade. So this is a Anthurium crystallinum, I believe is what it is. I don't really know, and she wasn't really an Anthurium person, so I don't think she fully knew either. And then this is an Anthurium magnificum. There's no roots on them yet because I just potted them up yesterday. And this one does have a little bit of spider mite damage, but nothing that can't be remedied. So I'm very excited to watch those grow. Down here I have my Philodendron verrucosum, which also really needs to get watered. I love this plant, but I just struggle with it, like notoriously. I don't know if it's just a specimen that I have, if I need to just try to invest in a new one, but we just like we don't get along. And that makes me sad because I think it's beautiful. So yeah, I don't know, not much to say about that right now. She's pretty unimpressive at the moment. So this is my Anthurium forgetii, or forgetii, however you say it. I love it. It's beautiful. I'm obsessed with the closed sinus. I bought this plant at a local plant shop of mine on a whim. Didn't really know how to take care of it. It was a rehab when I got it. It was crispy. It was rough. It was a rough go of it, to be honest. But now we're here, and she's stunning. She's beautiful. That's the biggest leaf I've ever gotten from her. It's perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's close enough for Anthurium. I love it. I'm obsessed. So this plant right here is my Philodendron Ring of Fire. I got this plant at the same time I got my forgetii from the same plant shop. It was a baby. It was also in rough shape, but now she is thriving, and I actually think it's about to flower. I don't know. I've never seen that before. I think it's a flower because this is the leaf right here. I would be so excited. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, there's actually two plants inside of this pot and attached to this pole. There's one right here, and right here. This is another plant that when I first got it, I was unimpressed and kind of regretted it. But as it started to get older and mature, I absolutely just fell in love with it. I don't regret buying it at all. And it's so easygoing. I think anybody who struggles with philodendron should definitely get this plant in their collection because it will not let you down. So now we are moving on to my IKEA Millsbo Tall. This plant, or I'm sorry, this cabinet, not plant, this cabinet is functional, but it's not perfect. And it's not as aesthetic as everybody else's. And it's definitely not as aesthetic as my other one. But she's functioning. Plants are growing. She's a work in progress. I have a lot of updates that I need to do for it. I need to get better grow lights in here. I need to set up more pegboards, get better shelving. I mean, there's a lot. But for now, she's getting the job done. On the top shelf, this is a forgetii. An Anthurium forgetii, little baby. It is pretty well rooted inside of this. It's so cute. I don't know what this is. I just potted these up recently. Took them out of my prop box, but I have no idea what they are. So that's fun. It's like a little mystery. Here are my Hoyas. This is a Hoya Finlaysonii. I actually don't know. I lost the tag when I first got it, so I don't actually know what this is. And I've never been a Hoya person, I'll admit it. I actually just recently started getting into them, so I don't know the names of all of them. If you know what this name is, please let me know, educate me, because I don't know. She's beautiful though, and she's doing really well in here. And right next to her, I have a Hoya Croyana, I believe. Again, same thing. Didn't come with a tag. Don't know what it is, but she's beautiful. I like her. I like her a lot. I just don't know her name. I have a top cutting of my billy-tie back here. It actually has a new leaf that it's trying to unfurl. Don't have much to say about that. It is a vigorous grower. I never really have to worry about it. I have this little baby dubia cuttings. They're so small, but they're so cute. I don't know. I had high expectations for this plant when I first got it. The cuttings that I got were basically like wet sticks, and I had to start over with roots and like everything, which is fine, but it just looks so sad. Whatever. She's still cute. I'll keep trying with it. I have a couple varicosum cuttings that are actually really happy in the cabinet and don't seem to be getting any type of spider mites, which is kind of crazy because they freaking always have spider mites. Here is an Anthurium. This is an Anthurium crystallinum cross magnificum, I believe is what it is. That is the most recent leaf, and she's so pretty. I used to have it on the top shelf of this cabinet, but I honestly think the leaves are getting a little bleached and it was getting too much light. So I moved her down here and she seems pretty happy. The roots look really good on it. I'm excited. I love this plant, and I love watching Anthurium grow from little seedlings. They just change so much. They're an adventure. Right here is my philodendron patriciae, I believe. It actually has a new leaf that it's trying to push out right here. I struggled with this plant when I first got it. It basically almost died, and I had to start over with the root system. And now it is actually rooted into this pole and into the substrate, which is exciting. Hopefully it starts to take off soon. I love pendant style plants. I'm like obsessed with them. So when I knew that there was a philodendron that was also kind of like pendant style, I had to have it. Like I just had to. And now I do. And she's sad, but hopefully with the new leaf, she will be happy. And back here, this is the Gloriosum that I have on a pole, that I'm starting on a pole. It looks a little sad right now. It is rooted into the substrate. I don't think it's rooted into the pole yet, but that's okay. Sometimes these plants take a little bit to take off. I still have high hopes that it will be fine. It did come out of my prop box, so I think it just took a while for it to adjust from being out of that high humidity environment. I will definitely keep everybody updated on how that one attaches to the pole and starts to grow. The second shelf of my cabinet, this is my begonia iron cross. I love it. It's so beautiful. Is that what this is? Yeah, I think so. I think it's an iron cross. Oh god, I don't know. I'm sure somebody will tell me. Anyways, it's beautiful. I love it. It's really gotten me into begonias because, again, I wasn't really a begonia person. And this one back here is also really stunning. I don't even know what this one is called. I'm not even going to try, to be honest with you. But she's pretty. They're both pretty. We're going to skip over these sad propagations right here. This is a Monstera dubia that's kind of just chilling. It's pretty happy. I don't have much to say about it. I like the leaves. It's very Jurassic Park looking. They're very cool plants. Here is my Hoya Carry, my variegated Hoya Carry. Me and this plant have been on the struggle bus. Okay. This is probably one of the oldest plants, rare plants I've had in my collection. And it didn't do anything for the first 2 years that I had it, which was really frustrating. I literally could not get a single leaf. Ended up putting it into semi-hydro. Got it going pretty well. Transitioned it into Molly's Mix. It got attacked by aphids horribly during the summer. Basically, like, desiccated the entire fucking plant. Ooh. Anyway. And now, finally, it is giving me some new leaves. Finally. I don't know. I probably need to find a different spot for it. And I think I probably will move it at some point. But you can just see how some of these leaves are damaged. Like, this is a lot where the aphid damage was. I don't know. She's sad, but she's cute. So I think I just need to keep trying. Okay, so this is my giant philodendron splendid that is basically taking over my house, and I'm to the point where I like don't know what to do. I keep chopping and extending the pole, which I will continue to do, but then I end up with like a ton of splendid cuttings. Oh, I can't complain though, because she is beautiful. This is another plant that I got as a little tiny baby. Oh my god, it was so small. And I got it onto a pole probably sometime last summer or the summer before. I kind of don't remember. But since then I've chopped and extended the pole probably 3 times now. It's so beautiful. Probably my all-time favorite plant in my collection. I love it. And honestly, it's pretty easy going. I don't really do much. I just make sure that the moss pole stays moist, and it's actually dry right now. I need to take care of that after I'm done with this. But yeah, I would highly recommend it to anybody. They're way more laid back than like Milanos. Never had an issue with it. I've had spider mites on it before, but that's not really that big of a deal. I've never had like thrips or mealies or anything like that. Down here I have a Paraceio Verde. It's very sad right now because it is winter, and these plants in the cooler months, they give you these all green leaves, and then when you move into spring and summer, the variegation starts coming out. It's really dependent on temperature and light. So if you put it directly in front of a grow light, I'm sure you could mimic those conditions and start to get the variegation to come out sooner. But if you have one that is going green like this, and it's like fall, winter time, don't worry, don't get rid of it, don't chop it. Just wait until like spring and summer and see what happens before you do anything. This tiny little baby plant is a domesticum, I believe. I don't know if it's reverting. I'm not sure. I have to wait for the next leaf to come out to be able to tell. Looks pretty sad right now. I have high hopes. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I have a painted lady right here, which I don't even really like this plant, and I'm toying with the idea of just getting rid of it. I know that people have really beautiful ones, and I do like the variegation on it, but I don't know, it's just like it doesn't do it for me. And there's two plants in here. This one plant gives me like almost entirely variegated leaves, and then this one just grows normal. So I'll probably give it a few more weeks, maybe a month more, to see what it does, but I might just end up selling this one. Just a philodendron pothos on this shelf right here. Doesn't get a lot of light. It's huge though. I don't even know where else I would put it. It's basically just taking over this corner. But I think I like the way it looks on the shelf. It's like very aesthetic. It's very pretty. Moving over here, and it's so backlit. I'm so sorry. That might be a little bit better. So this is my monkey tail cactus. I have two of them. That one on top, and then this one, I actually recently potted this into Molly's succulent mix, and ever since then it's been pretty happy, but it is starting to get like this small growth because it's just not getting enough light. But it's also winter, so I don't know, it's kind of to be expected with cacti. Up here is a golden rat tail cactus, also growing in Molly's succulent mix. It's very cute. I love it. It's not as soft as the monkey tail cactus, though. It's definitely a little bit more spiky, so if you have one or you want to get one, don't touch it like you would the monkey tail. This is a Hoya Wyeti, I believe. I've had this plant for a while. I think I got it from Walmart, actually. But it's very cute. I love the foliage. It's probably the first Hoya that actually got me into Hoyas, because like I said before, I've never really been a Hoya person, which I think is starting to change. I think once I start getting blooms, it will change my thought process on that. But I haven't gotten any yet, which is disappointing. I do have this giant Fimosian Queen, I believe. Like, it's definitely the biggest Hoya that I have. Still hasn't given me any flowers though, but I think I just need to be patient with it. It is really beautiful. It's probably my favorite Hoya that I've ever owned. And it's hardy too. I mean, it can really tolerate a drought and neglect. Right here I have a little baby Hoya linearis. I loved this plant when I first saw pictures of it. I like fell in love with it, and mine is like just starting to fill out now. It was a lot smaller when I first got it, so I have pretty high expectations for it. Other people have absolutely stunning, beautiful ones, and I hope that someday I have one of those as well. This is probably my second biggest Hoya that I have. This is a Hoya compacta. I do not have the variegated one, although it is on my wish list. And this is probably in an area where it needs to get more light. No peduncles, but it is really pretty, and it's very, very unique. Okay, moving on to my Millsbow wide. This is my favorite cabinet. It just looks a lot better. It functions a lot better. I like it being wide rather than tall. I feel like if I was to recommend which one somebody should get, I would probably recommend this one. It's just a lot more manageable. I just like it a lot more. Other people probably feel differently, but that's okay. Sitting on top is my Anthurium pallidiflorum. I freaking love this Anthurium. This was my dream Anthurium, and I actually was able to get it this summer by selling one of my elbows and getting some money from that. So I was able to invest in it. all-time favorite anthurium so far, and it has a new leaf coming in, which I'm so excited for. I love it. Oh god, maybe I should cut this off. I might just cut that damaged leaf off because I don't want it to affect this one at all. It's so beautiful. Also very, very easygoing. More easygoing than any anthurium I've ever owned before. It just chills, like it gets a little bit of natural light. That's a Sansi grow light. I water it when it's dry and it's just happy. I love it. So this is my Alocasia Biglitziana or Fritick, or whatever it's going by nowadays. I don't know. I love this. I've had this plant for a really long time. I actually recently almost killed it because I underwatered it so bad that like 4 or 5 of the leaves turned yellow, which is really unfortunate, but it seems to have bounced back now. It's very, very happy. I've always loved the velvety foliage. And I also have the variegated version of that plant as well, which is just so freaking beautiful. And it's getting bigger with every new leaf, and it's really only dropped 1 leaf, and the babyest leaf, which is impressive for Alocasia. I can see why people were obsessed with this plant when it first came out. I waited a while for the prices to drop, and I'm glad that I did, but it is definitely a stunning plant. I have another one too back here. There's just 2 of these taking up space. So this is another Anthurium Forgetii. This is different. It did not come from my mother plant. This came from somebody else in a plant trade. It is doing really well right now. It actually does have a new leaf that's coming in. 2 new leaves actually, which is exciting. I think it did have spider mites. I probably need to just treat my whole collection again for spider mites, but for now it's happy. This is my little, I believe it's a heartleaf philodendron. I actually don't know. Somebody just gave me a cutting of it in a plant trade. It's really pretty though, and it's doing really well. Right here is my Anthurium crystallinum dark form, which doesn't look very dark right now. But such a cool thing about Anthurium is as they grow, those characteristics really start to come out. So I'm very excited to see how this one does. It does have a new little baby leaf coming in, which I'm excited to see expand. It's so cool to watch Anthurium leaves come in small and then just like get huge. Roots look pretty good on it. It is also potted into Molly's aeroid mix, which has never let me down before, so so excited for it. Up here is Monstera, sorry, dubia cuttings, which I haven't looked in a long time, so I actually don't really know what they even look like. Got a little bit of something going on, I guess. A little bit of root. Otherwise looking very sad though. This is my philodendron Rio, I think is what it is. It's very cute. I was a little worried when it gave me this leaf that maybe it was reverting, but then it gave me this one. So I don't think so. I don't know what happened. Maybe I just wasn't giving it enough light. But when I first got it, it was basically a wet stick. So we're doing pretty good right now. Moving on to my little Alocasia corner of my cabinet. Here is my Alocasia dragon scale, my little baby. My ultimate wish list and dream plan is to have a variegated version of this, but not this year. Maybe next year. It's such a little baby. I used to have a bigger one of this, but it basically just decided it was going to croak on me. So I had to take some corms, and that is the regrowth from that. So hopefully it starts to mature soon, because I would love to have a bigger one of this. I think it's so unusual. I love it. I love the textured leaves. Here is my Cuprea, Alocasia Cuprea. I actually just got this one pretty recently, within the last like month and a half. It didn't have like any roots on it because it did come from the grocery store, which is not the best place to buy plants, but it was sad and dying and I could not leave it behind. So, and she's rooted now, actually. I should show you that. What am I doing? See? I've seen people with ones of these that are like absolutely massive, and I think that would just be such a dream for me. I never really liked alocasia until the last like year and a half because I really struggled with growing them. But I don't know, I've really, since they got my cabinet, I feel like it's been easier because they stay moist longer and they don't dry out as quickly. I've also found that it really makes a difference with the substrate you're using. Semi-hydro is definitely the best, I feel, for alocasia, but if you're going to go with like a soilless mix, it would definitely be Molly's. Molly's is really just great for everything. It's really never let me down. Here is my giant silver dragon, which I love this one so much. It's been with me probably the longest, other than my Fritick. It's pretty well rooted too. Very happy. And back here is my Alocasia Corazon, which I think I'm actually going to get rid of this plant. I really do like it and it's growing really well, but my wish list version of this plant is the Dragon's Breath because they just have more elongated and like pointy foliage, and this one's kind of more round. And it just doesn't really do it for me, and I don't want to have both in my collection because that just doesn't make sense to me. They look too similar. So I think I'm going to sell this one and probably invest in the Dragon's Breath instead. But for now, until somebody wants to buy it, it looks beautiful in here. And the last plant I'm going to be talking about today is this begonia. I don't know the official name of it. I don't know what variety it is, but it is really massive. I've had it for a number of years now. It usually goes outside every year. It was flowering like crazy. Now they are starting to die and fall off, which makes sense. But when it is in full bloom, it is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they are like a bright pink flower and they're just all over the plant. They're stunning. Okay, and I think that's going to conclude for my first ever plant tour. I appreciate you guys going along with me on the journey. Please like and subscribe for more planty content. I appreciate you all very much.